This is a stimulus check update and daily news report. With the government shutdown threat out of the way, now Congress could focus on the bigger items, such as the Build Back Better plan, which is supposed to pass before Christmas. I'll give you the latest updates of what's going on with that bill. I'll play you a video clip from Sinema giving an exclusive interview talking about her stance on the Build Back Better plan. You don't want to miss that one. I'll also give you the latest stimulus check articles like this. Bonus $200 stimulus check payment for Christmas if you are single to help pay for the holiday is proposed. Also this one, push for $2,000 and $1,000 stimulus checks before Christmas as hard-hit Americans demand New Year's payment. I'll also give you the latest of what's going on with Omicron and some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So what's the latest with Omicron? More than 20 people in the US have tested positive for Omicron. Here's what we know so far with the cases. So here is a quick video clip giving the latest updates on that.
Yeah, Shep, we are starting to hear more from researchers in South Africa about some of the characteristics of this new variant as cases there are growing really quickly. In a presentation today, researchers pointed out that more younger people are getting hospitalized at the start of this Omicron wave compared with the Delta wave in May. Now, the figures are particularly high for kids under 5, but the researchers noted typically their stays in the hospital have been short, 2 or 3 days, and very few have needed oxygen or intensive care. But they also note it's too early to make conclusions from this information, and they expect to learn more about disease severity over the coming weeks. We're also expecting to learn more, perhaps as soon as the end of next week, about how well the vaccines hold up against Omicron. Dr. Anthony Fauci told reporters today he expects data from lab studies about how well antibodies neutralize Omicron in a week or two, and then data from the real world on how well the vaccines protect against the variant about a week after that. He said there's good reason to expect boosting the current vaccines will provide protection against Omicron, but the vaccine makers are preparing new vaccines targeting the variant just in case. BioNTech CEO weighed in on the likelihood of those being needed today.
I believe in principle we will at a certain time point need a new vaccine against this new variant. The question is how urgent this needs to be available.
He said in addition to learning the level of protection from the vaccines, the severity of disease caused by Omicron is another really important factor that'll play into those decisions.
So the good news is there's not going to be any lockdowns or shutdowns anytime soon. Scientists are still trying to figure out all the details of what's going on with that. I'll keep you updated on that. So Biden signs bill to prevent government shutdown as Congress turns to debt ceiling and social spending bill. So President Biden signed the government shutdown stopgap measure, which is just standard procedure. House voted on it, Senate voted on it, then the president signs off on it right before probably hours before the deadline. So nothing big there. We knew that was coming. When it comes to stimulus check news, bonus $200 stimulus check payment for Christmas if you are single to help pay for the holiday is proposed. So this legislation was proposed by Republicans in Illinois House of Representatives, going to give $200 to people, single people making less than $75,000, $400 to couples making less than $150,000. So $200 to $400 checks potentially going out there. St. Louis definitely giving out $500 stimulus checks. So St. Louis shares eligibility requirements for $500 direct COVID relief payments. These applications are going to go out on December 18th. You have to be a resident of St. Louis, make a certain income threshold, as well as show that you lost income during the pandemic, and you get the $500, or you apply for the $500 there. Also, this article right here, push for $2,000 and $1,000 stimulus checks before Christmas as hard-hit Americans demand New Year's payment. So a bunch of people have called for more stimulus checks. What they're saying here is 1 or 2 stimulus checks is a joke and not Build Back Better. Another person said give people a fresh start, $2,000, then $1,000 for 5 months. And another one, that's changing for low-income SSI senior citizens. And then it would help if people on SSI would get a 4th and 5th $2,000 due to economic stress. And we need to pay rent, bill, food like everyone else. So yeah, as far as a 4th stimulus check, still not in there. A lot of people saying that maybe the Omicron could cause more stimulus checks to come. Haven't seen any big ramifications of Omicron yet. No lockdowns, no shutdowns, no threats of it coming soon. So it doesn't look like a fourth stimulus check is coming. When it comes to the change.org petition, $2,000 per month to every American, currently at 2,975,000 signatures so far. What's going on with the Build Back Better? So will Biden's Build Back Better package pass Congress by Christmas? So Chuck Schumer recently said December 13th, which is the Monday after Congress is supposed to leave. This upcoming week is the last week until Congress goes on their winter vacation, which may or may not happen if they don't get everything done. Here is the latest of what's going on with Congress and the Build Back Better, as well as the debt ceiling.
So at the Capitol, the building behind me, they've managed to avoid one crisis. Now on they lurch to the next, it seems. After avoiding a government shutdown overnight, lawmakers are looking at a hefty pre-holiday to-do list. Let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Sahil Kapoor. Sahil, talk us through what is on that list ahead of the new year for Congress.
And hefty is almost understating it, Hallie. Yes, they avoided a government shutdown, but there's a lot for them to do before they want to go home for the Christmas and New Year holiday. So let's go through it. There's the National Defense Authorization Bill, the massive Pentagon package that they have to get done. Senator Marco Rubio threw a wrench into that this week over demands. This is a matter of when, not if. They'll get this done. They just need to get consent to do it quickly and move some things around the edges. There's the issue of the debt limit. They have to raise that to prevent a catastrophic economic meltdown. The temperature on this one has cooled quite a bit. Chuck Schumer, the Democrat, and Mitch McConnell, the top Republican, are talking. They're not acrimonious about this like last time. It's not unclear how it gets done, but it will get done. Then, of course, there's the Build Back Better Act, the major piece of President Biden's agenda that Democrats are looking to get done. The best case scenario is they vote on it the week after next week, which would be the week before Christmas, but they have to resolve some policy disputes within their ranks over issues like paid leave and the state and local tax deduction, and they have to run everything by the parliamentarian to make sure it all complies with the rules. Unclear what exactly the timeline would be, and that's not even all. There's still some nominations, executive and judicial, that Chuck Schumer wants to get done. Now, tangentially to all of this, Hallie, Republicans have seen some infighting in their ranks in both the House and the Senate this week that would call into question how well they would be able to govern if they take control. I asked Kevin McCarthy, the House Republican leader, about this earlier. Let's roll the tape.
Could you talk about some specific policies or bills that Republicans would pursue if you're in the majority, and the clashes that you've seen within your caucus earlier this week? If you're Speaker, would that make it difficult for you to govern?
No, we're going to be quite fine. If we are given the trust to be the majority, we will tackle inflation, we will secure our border, we will bring gasoline prices down, and we'll focus on the economy.
And Democrats have a different view of this, Hallie. They say a Republican-controlled Congress would mean more shutdowns, more brinkmanship, and empower far-right conspiracy theorists like Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there you have it, the stakes as described by both parties for the 2022 elections.
Congress still has a lot of stuff to get done before they could get to the Build Back Better, and we still don't know if the Build Back Better is finalized at this point, as they're still trying to add things in, take things out, a lot of things being negotiated, not set in stone as we thought it was before. So next up, let's talk about Kyrsten Sinema. So exclusive, Sinema won't commit to voting for Biden's sweeping social safety net expansion, which means no matter how much work Chuck Schumer and Congress does to get the Build Back Better plan done, if Kyrsten Sinema is not on board, or Joe Manchin, it is not going to happen. So to be honest, before this interview, I don't think I've ever heard Kyrsten Sinema speak before. So here she is during her interview talking about her stance on the Build Back Better, as well as a few other things.
You have met directly with the president, perhaps more than any other senator in the Democratic Party, maybe aside from Joe Manchin. What lessons have you learned? What kind of negotiator is the president? And is it hard for you to tell the president, no, I can't do that?
President Biden served in the Senate for a long time, so he knows how negotiations work. And he also, during this process, called me repeatedly and asked me to continue working with Senator Rob Portman and others in the G10 to find this bipartisan agreement, and showed a real commitment to wanting this bipartisan achievement, which we've accomplished. And I think the big challenge in front of us is for us to all work together in an accountable and transparent way to actually implement this law.
Schumer has said he wants to vote on Build Back Better, that broader social safety net bill, before Christmas break. Are you prepared to vote yes when that comes to the floor?
Well, I don't set the schedule for the Senate floor, and I'm always prepared to vote, and to vote for what's right for the interests of Arizona. I personally believe that the best way to create legislation is to be thoughtful and careful so that we're crafting legislation that truly represents the interests that we want to achieve and that creates a benefit and helps people all across Arizona and the country. So that's what I'm working on right now.
So it doesn't sound like you're quite a yes yet on the version that just passed the House of Representatives. What changes do you want to make?
Well, folks know I don't negotiate in the press, so I'm not going to do that with you.
I know one of the things that you made clear very early in the negotiation with the president and your majority leader was that you were not going to support raising the corporate tax rate a single point. Did you feel like at any point they weren't taking your comments seriously, given the fact that they were promising for a long time that this was going to be part of the bill?
You know, I don't really spend much time thinking about what other people are saying publicly. What I really want to focus on is how to get to a solution and solve a problem that matters to everyday folks in Arizona. And people back home in Arizona know that I am committed to ensuring that any legislation we pass retains America's competitiveness. So I won't support any legislation that increases burdens on Arizona or American businesses and reduces our ability to compete either domestically or globally. And so I want to make sure that if we are crafting legislation, we're doing it in a lean and efficient way that's fiscally responsible and doesn't impact things like inflation or make our businesses less competitive.
So you've been criticized from progressives who say you're standing in the way of what we've been campaigning on for years, whether that's repealing the 2017 tax cuts, whether that is changing voting rights laws. What do you say to progressives back home who are disappointed in the job that you're doing here?
Well, I'm serving in the exact way that I've campaigned on over the last near decade that I've served in Washington, D.C. And when I ran for the United States Senate in 2018, I told the folks of Arizona what I would do. That I would come to the Senate, try to find bipartisan solutions, be an independent voice for Arizona, and always put everyday people in Arizona first. I would say that's exactly what I'm doing.
One of the ways that you negotiate in talking with your colleagues is that you're pretty forthcoming about where you stand on something. We talked about the corporate tax rate. Why do you think it is that your leadership sometimes overpromises? Do you think that that's a problem for voters and for the Democratic Party?
I can only speak for myself. But what I can say is this. I would never promise something to the American people that I can't deliver. And I think it's not responsible for elected leaders to do that. The concern I have is that, first, it's not very honest. So you should just be honest. That's something my parents taught me when I was very young, and it stuck.
Some of your colleagues, some of them progressives, think that you're kind of an enigma, that they're not sure where you stand on any one issue while you're in the middle of a negotiation. Do you think that that's a fair criticism of you?
I think I'm very direct, and I am very upfront when I talk to folks about what I believe in, what I can support and what I can't support. So I think there are some people who just don't like what they're hearing, and maybe they use other terms to describe it. But folks in Arizona know that I've always been a straight shooter and always will be.
Would you be willing to vote with Democrats to hold up the president's mandates?
Well, I'm not going to tell you those things. What I will do, though, is make sure that I'm voting in the interests of Arizonans. Now, folks back in Arizona know that I'm a strong supporter of this vaccine. I encourage all Arizonans to also get vaccinated so that we can return to the lives that we love and be able to share those important moments of both joy and sorrow with our family members.
Despite all the back and forth calls with President Biden, looks like Kyrsten Sinema still not on board with that Build Back Better plan, which is going to mean if they want to pass it before Christmas, is it Christmas of 2021 or Christmas of 2022? We don't know, but it keeps getting delayed and delayed. And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To hopefully brighten your day a bit, here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, so my name is Bella. This is the tip of the day. If you make a mistake, then it's okay. You learn from your mistake, it makes you a better person. So it's okay. It's okay. We still love you. We like you a lot. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. So funny story, yesterday I was at a cafe with my family in Pineville, North Carolina, and this gentleman comes up to me and says, hi Mr. Wise, how's it going? And I looked down at my shirt because I thought maybe I had my Wisefly shirt, and he was just pointing that out. People have said that before to me when I have like my Wise Vibe shirt or something like that. They're like, oh, Wise, and they don't know anything about my YouTube channels. But then I was really confused, and then he says, I'm a big fan of your content. And I'm like, whoa. This is the first time that anybody has ever recognized me in public, and and I was shocked, and so I said, thank you, and I think I was mumbling, and I was just completely confused and shocked, and then he walks away, and then my wife was like, you were really awkward. So if you're watching this, I apologize. I think your name was James, but I apologize for being really awkward. I was just so confused. That's never happened to me before. And then after that, my daughter Bella turns to me and says, Daddy, you're famous. I'm like, I guess so. I don't know. It's never happened to me before, but it was a really interesting experience. I'm going to try to do better if that happens again. So if you see me, say hi, and I'll do a better job of not being awkward and confused. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here or down here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.